In a bustling school filled with loud laughter and confident voices, there was a student named Alex. Alex was like a shadow, present but rarely noticed. If you asked the teachers, they'd struggle to recall Alex's face. If you asked the classmates, they'd probably say, "Oh, the quiet one." Alex wasn't just quiet. Alex was invisible. Everyone had already written the story of Alex's future. A footnote in someone else's tale, someone who would never achieve anything big. Because in a world that rewards noise, silence is often mistaken for absence. But they were all wrong. Every morning, Alex would walk into the classroom and find a seat at the back near the window. It was the perfect spot to observe without being observed. When the teacher asked a question, hands would shoot up around the room, a forest of eager arms. Alex's hands stayed on the desk. It wasn't that Alex didn't know the answer. More often than not, the answer was crystal clear in Alex's mind. But the thought of all those eyes turning, the sudden weight of expectation, was too heavy. So, Alex stayed silent. Classmates would form groups for projects, their voices buzzing with ideas. They'd glance over at Alex, a silent invitation hanging in the air, but no one ever walked over. They assumed Alex wouldn't contribute, or worse, wouldn't want to. "They're too shy," one would whisper. "Probably doesn't have any ideas," another would add. So Alex often ended up with the leftover topics working alone. The teachers, busy managing the louder students, saw Alex's silence as a lack of engagement. "You need to participate more." Alex was a common comment on report cards. "Show us what you know." They didn't realize Alex was showing them every day, just not in the way they expected. At home, it wasn't much different. Family gatherings were filled with lively chatter about cousins who were star athletes or debate champions. When relatives asked Alex what was new, the answer was always a soft, "Not much." They would smile kindly, pat Alex on the shoulder, and move on to someone with a more exciting story to tell. No one ever asked what books Alex was reading, what thoughts were swirling in that quiet mind, or what dreams were being built in the silence. They saw an empty canvas, not realizing a masterpiece was slowly being painted, layer by patient layer. The world saw a quiet student. What it missed was a dedicated observer. While others were talking, Alex was listening. While others were competing for attention, Alex was absorbing information like a sponge. Every lecture, every textbook chapter, every documentary watched late at night was another piece of the puzzle. Alex's notebooks weren't just filled with notes. They were filled with questions, connections, and ideas that went far beyond the curriculum. The library was a sanctuary. The librarians knew Alex by name, not because of loud conversations, but because of the towering stack of books checked out each week. Physics, history, art, philosophy, no subject was off limits. There was no grand plan for revenge, no desire to prove everyone wrong in a blaze of glory. There was just a quiet, steady flame of curiosity. The work was done not for applause, but for the simple joy of understanding. Late at night, when the rest of the house was asleep, Alex's desk lamp was a small beacon of light. Problem sets were solved, essays were drafted and redrafted, and complex theories were broken down until they made perfect sense. Every small victory, every concept mastered, was a silent celebration. It was a slow, deliberate process. There were moments of doubt, of course, whispers of maybe they're right would creep in, but the pull of learning, the quiet satisfaction of growth, was always stronger. The turning point wasn't a sudden explosion of talent. It was more like a quiet sunrise that no one saw coming. It started with the midterm exams. The results were posted on a board in the main hall. Students crowded around, their voices a mix of excitement and anxiety. Alex waited until the crowd thinned before walking up to the list. Scanning the page, Alex found the name, and next to it, a number that seemed to glow. 98%, the highest score in the entire grade. A few students noticed. "Wait, is that Alex?" one murmured, pointing at the name. "No way, must be a mistake." The teacher who graded the papers, Mr. Harrison, was just as surprised. He had always seen Alex as a C student, average at best. He pulled out the exam paper, expecting to find a scoring error. Instead, he found meticulously detailed answers, elegant solutions to complex problems, and an essay that was insightful and beautifully written. It was not the work of an average student. It was the work of a brilliant one. That day, something shifted. It was small, almost imperceptible. When Mr. Harrison handed back the exams in class, he paused at Alex's desk. "Excellent work, Alex," he said, his voice filled with genuine respect for the first time. A few heads turned towards the back of the room, not with pity, but with a flicker of curiosity. The momentum continued to build. Quietly, a national science competition was announced. The theme was sustainable innovation. While other students formed noisy teams, brainstorming flashy ideas, Alex chose a topic that seemed boring to most: soil regeneration. For weeks, Alex spent weekends and evenings in the school lab, running tests, analyzing data, and building a small-scale model of a self-sustaining agricultural system. There was no fanfare, no grand announcements, just quiet, focused work. The day of the competition arrived. The hall was filled with elaborate displays and confident presenters. Alex's project stood in a quiet corner, simple and unassuming. When it was Alex's turn, a hush fell over the judges as they listened. Alex didn't use loud, dramatic language. Instead, the explanation was clear, precise, and backed by an astonishing depth of research. Alex spoke about microbial ecosystems, carbon sequestration, and long-term food security with a quiet confidence that was more powerful than any loud speech. The judges were captivated. They asked question after question, each one more technical than the last. Alex answered them all, not just with memorized facts, but with a true understanding that connected different fields of science. When the winners were announced, the room went silent. First place went to the quiet student from the back of the class. This time, everyone noticed. Classmates stared, their mouths slightly agape. Teachers looked at one another in disbelief. It was as if the shadow had suddenly stepped into the light, revealing a substance and brilliance they had never imagined. The victory wasn't celebrated with a loud party. It was celebrated with a quiet smile on the way home and the deep, peaceful satisfaction of a job well done. The world had finally seen a glimpse of what was happening in the silence. The whispers about Alex changed. "Did you know Alex won the National Science Fair? I heard they got a perfect score on the physics final. Maybe we should ask Alex to join our study group." Alex remained the same, still quiet, still preferring the back of the room. But now, the silence was different. It was no longer seen as emptiness, it was seen as depth. People began to understand that Alex wasn't shy or disengaged. Alex was focused. They learned that a lack of words didn't mean a lack of thoughts. The greatest success wasn't the trophy or the grades. It was the slow dawning realization in the eyes of others. They learned that some of the most powerful work is done in quiet spaces. Some of the most brilliant minds don't need a spotlight. And some of the biggest achievements are built not with loud declarations, but with silent, unwavering dedication. So the next time you see someone quiet in the corner, don't assume they have nothing to say. Don't mistake their silence for a lack of ambition or ability. They might not be seeking your attention, but they are paying attention. They are listening, learning, and growing in ways you can't see. Success doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it's the quietest person in the room who is preparing to make the biggest impact. True strength doesn't need to announce its arrival. It just is. Believe in the quiet ones. For they are the ones who often carry the most profound stories and the brightest futures within them. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more content that inspires.